Obviously, really disappointed. Thought we did some things good enough to give ourselves a chance, but we didn't do enough things well enough for long enough to finish the game. And obviously, we've got to learn. I mean, this league is unforgiving. I told our guys on Thursday when we came back to practice that, don't think for a second Texas was going to feel sorry for us. They were going to come try to kick us while we're down. And credit to them, this was their first league game. They played well and found a way to win. I'm proud of our fight, but we got to find a way to be more consistent throughout the game.
Your first question from Jacob Unner. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, you mentioned the consistency, that 17-0 stretch. That's plagued you in the past. Obviously, a different team, but can you kind of pinpoint something that happens there or ways you can look forward to breaking out of those funks?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it. What are the things that are happening on each end of the court? Are we getting the right shots? Are we trying to get ourselves to the free throw line? Are we attacking the paint to get easier, higher percentage shots? I have to go back and look at the film at that stretch in particular. I know the couple things that really hurt us, our lack of being able to defensive rebound. They got several second chance opportunities and converted those. And then we didn't do a great job in transition defense. So when we didn't score, our sense of urgency spreading back and getting our defense set so that they would even have to play against us 5-on-5. Before then, you got a defensive rebound. So you can't go on the road and give a team that many more opportunities to score than you're going to have. I think they ended up with 14 more shots than we did. And it's not like we turned them over a ton to make up for it. So, a one possession game where the other team gets 13 more shots is going to be pretty hard to win.
It wasn't, I don't think it was the main play, but that shot clock violation right before Greg hit those back-to-back threes seemed to become a big moment. Was it a miscommunication? What kind of happened there?
Yeah, there was miscommunication. It was 6 seconds left. We tried to run a quick hitter. We just made the wrong read and ended up taking a shot that kind of turned up their momentum a little bit. But again, I mean, there were several plays that we could probably point to like that. Just one that's kind of glaring because, in my opinion, a shot clock violation may be the worst turnover in basketball. I mean, there's one on both ends and it's running down. You can find a way to get a shot off. I mean, miss it or whatever, but get a shot off. So certainly something that we got to make sure it doesn't happen very often.
And Greg Brown today, too, was obviously really impressive. What did he do so well against you guys?
It was comfortable. He did what Greg Brown does. I mean, shot open threes. He got to the paint and uses his athletic ability to finish. And it looked like he was pretty engaged defensively. So certainly he's trying to protect the rim for them. So he's a really good player. We're going to see those guys every night in this conference. And so get used to it. There's a lot of really good players. Some of them are freshmen, some of them are seniors. And, he was really, really good today.
Thanks, Mike.
Your next question is from Marshall Scott, Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, is there a feeling that you guys are close to kind of being where you want to be? Obviously, the 17-0 run, if that's a 10-0 run, then maybe this looks different against the number 11 team in the country. You had the run at the end of the TCU game. Is there a feeling that you guys are close?
Yeah, I mean, again, you're talking about 2 one-possession games, right? One at home, one on the road. The one at home, you got an 8-point lead with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Yeah, I mean, we're not getting run out of anybody's jam. We're not competing. There were a couple games last year where we weren't competing this early in conference play, and that's not the goal. The goal is to win. So trust me, I mean, I'm not accepting this, but I know we got 17 more games to play in the regular season, 16 more league games and the non-conference game thrown in there. And so I don't want our guys to feel defeated. There's a lot of opportunities out there for us to go and do what we all want to do. But, one of the keys is in the first half, we should have had more than a 5-point lead, at halftime. If we defensive rebound better, we have more than a 5-point lead. And those are things that are there's certainly some athletic ability that plays into that. If a guy can jump at 12 feet, then you can't. It makes it hard. But there's some strategy, there's some competitiveness that you got to try to get him before he gets off the ground to block him out. And so, with that, in that regard, I do feel like we're close because I feel like there are fixable errors that we're making. The effort in transition defense, the blocking out, and those are things that, on us as a coaching staff to make sure it gets done.
And then Cade was able to turn it on again late. That's kind of just a trait of great players. But what does he need to do to get it going a little sooner?
Well, some of it, I think he's playing like there's a little pressure on him that he's got to make all the plays, and he doesn't. We got a 5-point lead without him playing particularly well in the first half. And so we got to understand that there are other guys who can take some pressure off him in terms of playmaking. I think you saw that from Bryce, you saw that from Avery. We got to get Ice going a little bit more, and that'll make the game probably a little bit easier for him where he doesn't feel like he's got to go into takeover mode at any point. He can just kind of play freely and comfortably throughout the game.
Then you obviously had the lineup change today. Avery came in for Farron. You guys only shot, I think, 5 threes in the first half. Is that kind of a trend that you guys are going to maybe attack the basket more with where that's your strength?
Yeah, I still believe in our shot makers, but until we start making them, right, we don't need to keep shooting them. I mean, at the end of the day, the job is to try to get the guys on the court who are best right at the moment, right, of putting you in position to win. And, Avery's done really, really well in practice. He's taking care of basketball much better. He's a pest defensively. We saw that again. He was very, very active. And so, yeah, we're going to always play to our strengths. We believe a strength of ours is the ability to shoot it, but we haven't shot it well. So I'm not going to have a team continue to shoot 33s a game and shoot 20%.
Thanks, Mike.
Follow-up question from Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, along the lines of those three-pointers, was that a lesson you kind of learned last season? Because I know you adjusted late in the season on not shooting as many threes.
Yeah. We can believe all we want that guys can shoot until they do it. When the game's on the line, it doesn't really count a whole lot. So what we need to do is keep those guys engaged and working on the right shots in practice. And then when they show the ability to make more consistently in games, we can use that as more of a weapon. For now, we've got to be a team that attacks the paint, get to the free throw line, convert our free throws, and try to get as much in transition as possible. But I still believe in those guys who's supposed to be shot makers. It just hadn't come to them yet.
And you have a 13-day break. How do you kind of approach that on and off the court with the kids? I mean, on the court, you've got work to do, obviously, but off the court, you've got to keep them safe. How do you approach the next 2 weeks?
This year's a little different in every regard, right? We would never have a 13-day break. We'd always play much closer, maybe one more game prior to breaking, and then maybe a game before we start conference play. With the conference schedule the way it is this year, that's not really advisable. And so we've taken the approach that we're just going to try to get our guys, they'll take a break. We're going to give them a few days to go home and see their families. I think it's important from a mental health, from a psychological standpoint, getting through the whole season, that they have a little bit of time to recharge their batteries, see their loved ones, and then come back. And obviously, when you take that break and guys are traveling, you're concerned now because the virus is still out there. And so we want to give ourselves some time to make sure we don't have any issues. So that's different this year. But it's time. We need practice. We played a lot of games in a short amount of time. So this time here over the next 13 days, we'll give them a few days off. When we come back, practice is going to be critical for us.
Thanks, Mike.
One last follow-up question from Ryan Breeden. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Mike, you talked on Friday about how Texas.
Hold on, Ryan. There's a major echo. I can't really make out what you're saying.
Yeah, do you hear me now? Hear me?
I can. There's an echo.
I'm sorry, Ryan. Coach, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of give us your closing.
I'll wait a second
thoughts
for him,
on
Steve.
Say that again, Coach. I'm sorry. Oh, here we
I
go.
said I'll wait a second for him. We'll see if he can get his audio fixed.
He's logging back in. Ryan, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I just tried to switch over to my phone. Is that better?
Much better. Go ahead, Ryan.
That's better.
Okay. All right, Mike. So you mentioned on Friday a little bit of the athleticism mismatch that you felt like Texas was going to provide for you guys, and you obviously made some lineup changes. And did you feel like that area was as much of a problem as you thought maybe it could be or would be?
Without being able to go into specifics, when I look at the stat sheet and see they got 15 offensive rebounds, that's a pretty telltale sign that, you know, we didn't do the job athletically around the basket. They missed, I guess it looks like almost 39 shots and got 15 of them back. It's a pretty high offensive rebound percentage. So, yeah, it was a major factor in the game. One, we didn't answer the bell in that regard.
And then you guys today from the free throw line, you shot 13 for 21, I think it was. And that's not something that you specifically mentioned a few minutes ago when you talked about your concerns, but is that something that you are a little bit concerned about?
I mean, you always want to make them. I mean, we shot 8 for 11 in the second half, which is, you know, that was just, you know, it's a concentration deal. We got good shooters shooting, and we don't have anybody shooting, you know, a horrible percentage. You know, MA's low, and Ice hasn't shot it as well, hasn't shot as many this year. I mean, again, I think this is only the third or fourth time in his career that he didn't shoot a free throw, which again tells me that we have, you know, this isn't just about 3-point shots. This isn't about one thing. We have to get him going and being more aggressive, because for us to be ultimately as good as we want to be, we need him to be more productive. And that's not a criticism. It's probably more what we're doing with him as a staff and put him in more positions to have more productive outcomes. So I thought we shot him well in the second half. We obviously didn't shoot him as well in the first half, but I'm not concerned about it because I know we have good shooters shooting. What I want to make sure we're doing is that we're concentrating and we're shooting them the same way every time and that we're practicing well enough.
And then my last thing for you, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that exchange there near the middle to end of the second half with the technical foul and on the non-call on the and one. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were and like what you saw kind of during that exchange.
Yeah, I mean, that referee is much closer to the play than I am. From my view, it looked like a foul. I got no reason to think that if it was a foul, he would purposely not call it. So I'm curious to go watch the film and see what actually did happen.